Hello, and welcome to the Underpaid Gamers, official podcast of underpaidgamers.com. My name is Tony. I'll be your host today. We're doing another newscast, specifically a lot of stuff that came out of the San Diego Comic-Con, as well as some video game news, so let's get right into it. Alright, welcome back. Thanks for listening to that rousing rendition of the Underpaid Gamers Podcast intro song, the one and only, made by your friend Justin. Today, like I said, we're going to talk about the San Diego Comic-Con and all their news, which is mostly just trailers for stuff. Wonderwoman, Suicide Squad, I think it was there, I didn't watch it. Justice League. There were some things for Homecoming, which weren't shown to the public, and then also Doctor Strange, and some other things. Defenders. So, we'll talk about that at the top of the episode, or at the bottom, I guess, at the end. But for right now, I want to talk about some video game news. No Man's Sky is being released here pretty soon, and they have announced that you will not need a PlayStation Plus membership to play this game, which is very interesting because it's all online, and I'm thinking maybe... I'm not excited for No Man's Sky, because it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of interaction between players. And I think this is just like... You don't need PlayStation Plus because there's not going to be a lot of interaction between players. But I don't know. If you're excited for No Man's Sky and you don't have a PlayStation Plus membership and you haven't bought one yet, go ahead and don't buy one. Like, save that $60 or whatever. But I think No Man's Sky is going to do well. I'm excited to see how it goes. I don't think I'll buy it. But a lot of people are excited for it. So hold on to that if you're excited. More Pokemon Go news. Nintendo stock has declined by 17% actually, after it sent out a letter to all of their investors reminding them that Nintendo actually did not make Pokemon Go. It turns out that Niantic, which is owned partially by Nintendo, and the Pokemon Company and Nintendo are not the same things. Nintendo owns, I think, 1/3 of the Pokemon Company, but they're not the same. So Pokemon Go was created by Niantic and the Pokemon Company. So when Nintendo's stock rose by so much over the last couple weeks, it sent out a reminder to everyone, and they were like, hey, listen, we didn't make this. Like, sorry about you. So because of that letter, their stock has now decreased by 17%, which still puts them way above where they used to be. I think the numbers I saw were a share Nintendo was selling for like 13,000 yen. Before Pokemon Go came out, at the peak, it was selling for 34,000, and now it's selling for around 23,000. So it's kind of right in the middle, but still above where they started. So, good on Nintendo for obviously sharing that information. It kind of sucks for everyone that got hyped and blamed Nintendo or attributed all this success to Nintendo. It sucks for Niantic and sucks for the Pokemon Company. But now that they're getting some more of the limelight, I think their stocks will also rise. There was some sad news, I think, in what happened at EVO in the Smash community. There's a Smash 4 player named Hyuga. And he was banned for 1 year from all play, and he lost his sponsor. He was sponsored by, it was either Melee and Onmi or VGC Bootcamp, Video Game Bootcamp. He lost his sponsor and was banned because of a sexual assault he had on another Smash player, Vicky Kitty. That's always really hard to read. It's really hard to see. But almost as soon as this was public that he was accused of this sexual harassment and all these other things, he almost immediately lost his sponsor and immediately was banned for a whole year. So I think the responsibility of the Smash community, I think they handled this well. I think they said, we're not going to tolerate this at all. And his sponsor said, this is ridiculous. And immediately they dropped him. They didn't wait for anything. He publicly apologized. So he admitted to these things. He essentially said that, I was so drunk, I don't remember doing any of this, but it happened, so I'm sorry. It sucks for every person involved, but I think I'm really proud of the Smash community for banning him and for him losing his sponsor. I think that's accurate. I think that's a good punishment, and it wasn't a it was a sexual assault. So good on them. Vicky Kitty is okay. She's fine. She says she was a little shaken up, but she's fine. Hyuga is obviously very apologetic. He's from Mexico, so he just went back to Mexico, I believe. So just throwing that out there. Just throwing out the news. I don't like to see these things in the Smash community as they're my favorite. But as I am accustomed to attributing to Smash news, I have to talk about the good and the bad. So there's that. Another thing I missed about Pokemon Go is that Ubisoft is actually very impressed with Pokemon Go's success, and they have an alternate reality game for themselves in the works, which sounds utterly ridiculous. The thing I could think about that Ubisoft could use AR for would be like Watch Dogs. Just be like, go to these spots in the city and hack this module, and then you get these points or something like that. I don't know. I know that Ingress, which was also made by Niantic, which is a predecessor to Pokemon Go, was successful. Obviously not as successful as Pokemon Go. I do not think there could be anything else in the world that is as successful as Pokemon Go, because people have always wanted Pokemon in the real world. They've always wanted to catch them. And I don't think Ubisoft has any properties that would allow for this to happen. I think anybody that tries to copy Pokemon Go is just going to fail miserably. I might be eating my words here, but I don't think so. If Ubisoft wants to put money into this game, go ahead, do that. They're not the best developer at handling things like this, so we'll see what happens. But I hardly doubt it does even half the numbers of Pokemon Go. So do whatever you want, but I don't think it's going to happen. Not along those lines, but along the lines of things in the news of video games, CSGO has sent out cease and desist letters to all skin gambling sites. So as I said, I want to keep in touch with this. I want to see what's going on with the CSGO skins gambling. And CSGO has stepped out, or Valve, I guess, has stepped out and said, we're not doing this anymore. These sites should no longer exist. There's a whole bunch of bad stuff going on. So they've taken a stance and they say, this is not happening. As I talked about last week, they had admitted that they didn't know what was happening and that they never had connection to it. And then they said they will never, ever have connection to it in the future. So this is just them saying, again, like, this is them saying, we do not want a connection with this. So good on them for that. I'm going to take a sip of my water. And I dribbled it all over myself. Awesome. There was an Overwatch tournament on TBS this past weekend on July 23rd. It was a $300,000 tournament. I don't have cable, so I didn't watch it. But it's always good to see esports tournaments on live television. So we had CSGO on TBS. This is just their league. So the 23rd was a Friday. Friday or Saturday? This 23rd was a Saturday. So it was primetime TV on a Saturday. So good for them, good for Overwatch, good for CSGO, good for TBS in general. I am very excited to see these things expand in the future, to have more esports on television. Go to ESPN. I know that there was a Dota 2 tournament, I believe, on ESPN not that long ago. So it's fun to see. Oh, no, not Dota 2. They streamed the grand finals of Street Fighter on ESPN 2 for EVO. So that's awesome. At San Diego Comic-Con, they announced that Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 will be available on PS4 on July 26th. You can either buy them individually or will be a bundle. They have said that they have remastered everything. These are some of the most popular Marvel games to date. So if you have not played them, like myself, you might want to download them. I can't remember what Ultimate Alliance 1 is about, but I know Ultimate Alliance 2 is about Civil War. Now, this is not the same Civil War that happened in Captain America Civil War. This is more a comic book accurate Civil War, so just keep that in mind. However, I think they're both really good stories, and I think you should pick them up. Xbox One has announced that they are selling the 500 gigabyte bundles for $249 this week, a week before the Xbox One Slim is released, the Xbox One S. So that's very interesting. I thought these would be coming out much later. I don't honestly know why they would start selling these before the new Xbox came out. It doesn't make sense to me, because essentially you go, if you're an impulse shopper and you're at Walmart or Target or Best Buy or whatever, and you see an Xbox One, oh, I don't have one of those yet, 500 gigabytes, okay, that's pretty good. $249 price tag, that's really good price tag. And then you buy that, and then the next week you see that the Xbox One S comes out. And I know that's going to be for $400, but it has a 2 terabyte hard drive, and it's smaller and slimmer. You say, why did I buy this Xbox 500 gig piece of junk? I could have waited a week and then bought this other Xbox One S. So I don't know what their goal here is, but it kind of seems like they're shooting themselves in the foot. Who knows? I assume they know better business strategy than I do, although it could be argued that they don't because they have not been selling any Xboxes in comparison to PlayStation 4s. And speaking of the PlayStation 4, the NFL Network will be coming to PlayStation View. So you'll be able to watch all the NFL games on your PlayStation through the PlayStation View if you have that subscription. I have recently been getting more into football in my later years. So it's fun to see this. It's really fun to see that the NFL Network is partnering with PlayStation. So I assume there'll be a sponsorship even on the NFL, like just the NFL for this season. I'm sure that they'll just say sponsored by PlayStation 4 or something like that, or sponsored by Sony or whatever. So it's fun to see that I could watch these games on my PS4, as well as now there's competitive stuff on ESPN and TBS. It's just the video game world is getting out into the quote unquote real world, and it's very exciting for me because there's so many people that look down on video games. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, it's just a hobby. It's a lot of fun. And people argue that watching streamers and Twitch is very similar to watching sports on TV, and I would argue that's the same thing. Like, people always say, like, why would you watch somebody play video games? There's no fun in that. And I'm like, why would you watch somebody play sports? There's no fun in that either. So it's just fun to see that the two worlds are kind of combining. I think that's all the smallish news. Everything else I have here is going to be about Wonderwoman, Justice League, and all the San Diego stuff, the Comic-Con stuff. So let's get right into it. The first trailer I saw was the Wonderwoman trailer. This will be released June 2nd of 2017. So I wasn't expecting to see this. From what I saw from the trailer, the fight scenes look really cool. There seems to be a lot of different fight scenes, a lot of different places and settings during the fight scenes. So I expect an action-packed movie. It looked very similar to the Captain America, the First Avenger movie and trailer, where she's just in World War I fighting these Nazis. This looks to be more of a Nazi-driven movie as opposed to Captain America, which is more an American propaganda film. This one seems to be more, we're in the Nazi front lines and we're fighting these people. It's very interesting. There's a lot of Amazons and Wonder Woman herself. It looks like there's a battle between the Amazons and the militia of World War I. So that's very interesting. Towards the end of the trailer, it looked to be more of like dark. Like, this is what DC is always accused of, as being dark and gritty. The beginning of the trailer was very bright and colorful. There were some really nice landscapes, but towards the end it looked dark. When you're talking about that time period, when you're talking about World War I and you're talking about Nazis, darkness is always a topic. Like that was not a good time in history. So it makes sense that this would be a dark film. However, when you compare it to Captain America, the First Avenger, which I think is an apt comparison, that was not a very dark movie. I mean, that Marvel and DC have always been very different on that front. And maybe it could be argued that's why Marvel's so popular, because not all their films are dark, but it could also be argued that they're just more popular because there's so many more of them. I'm not sure. It's Wonder Woman is not really a hero that I've been that invested in at all my whole life. I've always just thought that I know better now, but I've always thought that she was just like the female version of Superman, so I really didn't care that much. So these movies are really, I think, are showing people a lot of, like, these are not the same people. There is another superhero on the block. There's a whole nother superhero comics on the block. It's DC, not just Marvel all the time. But the trailer was very inherently like, I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need the help of a man. Why would a man ever tell me what to do? Things like that, which I think can be necessary for society now. But it's also a very critical of the time period that the movie takes place. I know there's a scene where Wonder Woman, Diana, is talking to her friend and the main guy, and the friend is the secretary of the main guy, and Wonder Woman's like, so what do you do? She's like, I'm secretary. And Wonder Woman's like, oh, that sounds like slavery. And then the other woman's like, yeah, it kind of does. And those things didn't really happen in that time period. Like, so it's, I don't know. So it's interesting to see that take on it. I think that could be important. I think women can be empowered. I think that's fine. So it's just interesting to see how far that goes. like I said, I'm not very familiar with Wonder Woman, so maybe that's just a very strong characterization of her that she's always trying to empower women, and if she is, that's cool. Like, go all for it. There were a lot of jokes in this trailer, and they didn't really make me laugh. You can tell that they were obviously jokes. I think these jokes will be very popular with a certain audience, with most audiences. But for whatever reason, I was just more confused about everything that happened to do with Wonder Woman, as I'm not very familiar with her. So I watched it. There were a lot of jokes. I didn't really laugh at them. Hopefully those weren't the best jokes in the movie, because I hate it when trailers show the best jokes in the movie. You go in expecting something better, and there's nothing better. So it's interesting. There was also an Suicide Squad trailer that featured more of the Joker. I did not watch this trailer, as Suicide Squad is coming out here pretty soon, and I don't want to be spoiled by any more of these movies. Now, I've heard that the new trailer does not show a lot of spoilers for the movie. They've done a good job of hiding the main plot behind the movie. But DC, ever since Batman v Superman, is notorious for spoiling everything. And specifically with the Joker, I want to go into Suicide Squad with no preconceptions of Jared Leto's Joker and just see what he can do with the thing. Like, I want to see where he goes with it. So I'm going to go in completely blind from this most recent trailer and just watch the movie, and I think I'll be blown away. I think I'll be very excited to see that. To some Marvel news, Brie Larson, which is the star of Room, has been cast as Captain Marvel, and that will be released in 2019. She is on everybody's lips for her role in Room, and a lot of people wanted her to be Captain Marvel. It's going to be very interesting to see. I think that will be our first lead woman Marvel comic book movie in the MCU, so that'll be very interesting. If you want to play the comparison game, obviously Wonder Woman is coming to theaters 2 years before Captain Marvel, so maybe DC's in the front of the woman superhero movies. And while Wonder Woman does look good, I think that Captain Marvel is going to be a lot better. Just based on the fact that there's already such a large cast for Marvel, and in 3 years, there'll be such a larger cast. DC is very far behind in the cast that they have in movies, and I think Marvel outnumbers them almost 2-1. So if any one of those people show up in Captain Marvel, it will automatically make it a better movie, just because you have more than one superhero. So it's just very interesting. No trailers or anything like that. They obviously haven't even started filming or any casting. Like, Brie Larson is like the first person cast. So it's very interesting. There was a Doctor Strange trailer. It was the second trailer for Doctor Strange. Kind of more of the same. It showed some more magic, showed some more jokes, showed some more of Stephen Strange himself, Benedict Cumberbatch as Stephen Strange. I don't like second trailers as much as I like first trailers, because the first trailer is obviously the first look at the film, while the second trailer is taking some from the first trailer and adding a little bit to it. Now, Doctor Strange comes out in November of this year, 2016. So I'm very excited for that. That's the only other Marvel movie that's coming out this year, and I'll definitely go see that. It looks to be very confusing. Like, there's a lot of dimension travel and time travel, things like that. I think this is the first Marvel movie that has magic in it. Everything else is kind of explained by science. In Thor: The Dark World, there's some magic, which is also explained by science. This one is purely magic. However, it looks very good, and I'll be seeing that. There was a Guardians of the Galaxy 2 trailer shown and a Spider-Man Homecoming trailer shown, both at Comic-Con, but have not been released yet to the public. So I assume those will eventually come out, but as I was not at Comic-Con, I cannot speak to their integrity. However, from what I've seen, from what I've read and seen, it looks like those are good. Spider-Man confirmed that the villain for the movie is actually going to be the Vulture. So not really surprised there. We've been talking about that for a long time, but it's finally confirmed. Along those lines, Marvel has confirmed the return of Daredevil for another season. So this will be the third season on Netflix. They also showed trailers for Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and there was even a Defenders trailer for Netflix, which is also coming in 2017. So Luke Cage and Iron Fist and the Defenders Season 1 are all coming in 2017. So that's going to be a big year for Marvel and a big year for Netflix. So that's very interesting. In the Defenders trailer, it was narrated by Stick, who was the blind ninja guy from Daredevil season 1 to season 2. So that's gonna be very interesting. Very interesting. He might have been mentioned in Jessica Jones, but I can't remember. I didn't think he knew everybody, but it sounds like he does. I would understand if he knew Iron Fist somehow, just because they're both kind of martial artists. But Luke Cage is obviously just a big burly man, and Jessica Jones is just a failed superhero and not really martial arty like that. So it'll be interesting to see everyone tied together. I assume all of these are going to be 13 episode series. So that's 39 episodes of Marvel Netflix shows in 2017. So that's really awesome. That's technically 3 seasons. So that's just very exciting. I guess the last thing I want to talk about real quick is the Justice League trailer. It's not an official trailer. Essentially what they said was this was clips from the movie that the producers and the directors wanted to show to everybody. But, it's a trailer. Like, it's officially a trailer. From what I saw in this was it looks like it's all about Batman. Well, I guess first I want to say it looks really good. Well, it looks interesting. It looks better than Batman v Superman, that's for sure. Not as good as the Avengers in 2012. But we really can't compare those until they both come out. Until Justice League comes out. But this one just looks to be all about Batman. Like, it makes sense because it's Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck is behind Batman. He's a producer and a director and a writer for this movie, but like every scene had Batman in it. There was hardly any scenes that didn't have any Batman. So obviously you see Batman, you see Cyborg, you see Flash, and you see Wonder Woman, and you even see Aquaman. There's no mention or sight of Superman, and not really any obvious clues to who the villain's going to be. I believe it's going to be Steppenwolf and Darkseid. I think Steppenwolf is the uncle of Darkseid. Steppenwolf was seen in the extended cut of Batman v Superman that was recently released on DVD. But they didn't show that in the trailer, and I think that's good. I don't think they should necessarily show those in the trailer. Hopefully they learned from Batman v Superman, and they don't just spoil everything beforehand. But Aquaman in this looks so sick. He's the guy, I don't know his name, but he's the guy that played Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones Season 1. So just a big burly man. You see him by the water a lot. You don't really see him in action. And when the whole team is together, you don't see him there. So I assume he's going to show up later in the movie and like help out. But he's not going to be there for the majority of the time. Batman's trying to convince him to join the League, to join this team of fighters. He accuses him of being able to talk to fish, which a lot of people think Aquaman can do. However, Aquaman has gone on record to say that he cannot talk to fish because they're too primitive and they can't hold conversation. So that's Aquaman for you. But if they make Aquaman look like that sick, like I can't wait to see what they do with his powers. Like, hopefully there's some water around wherever they're fighting. And seeing as the world is mostly water, you'd think there would be, but maybe Justice League takes place in like Iowa, where there's not a lot of water. No oceans. But Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman has proven to be good. She was great in Batman v Superman. She looks really good in the trailer for Wonder Woman. So I'll be excited to see her again in Justice League. There's been no Green Lantern appearance. I can't remember if he's confirmed to be in this movie or not. But I know that he's not going to get a solo film until after Justice League 2. So maybe he won't be in this movie. Maybe he'll be in Justice League 2 and then get his own movie. For whatever reason, I think they're just trying to cleanse the palette of Green Lantern ever since that Ryan Reynolds movie. But I think it's been long enough. I think you can reboot him. I mean, they rebooted Batman since then, so why not reboot Green Lantern? And speaking of reboots, they rebooted The Flash, essentially, because The Flash in this film is not the same Flash in the CW TV show. So I don't know why necessarily they have two different actors doing it, but it's kind of a reboot in that sense. The Flash in this trailer looks like himself, but a little bit younger, and obviously he's the funny, quick-witted kind of guy. Batman shows up in his lab, and Barry Allen's like, "Who are you? Why are you here? Like, I don't understand." And his lab is just like full of books and stuff, so you assume that. And I mean, his alter ego is a CSI detective, like a crime scene guy. So it makes sense that he's going to be really smart anyway. But he can just like speed read through all those books, just get a whole bunch of knowledge. So the Flash seemed to be where all the funny jokes came from, which makes sense for his character. But hopefully you can see some other jokes from other people. They showed Cyborg before his accident in a flashback, you can assume, and then again after his accident when he's actually the Cyborg. And I do not like the way the Cyborg outfit looks. Like the way the CGI around him, it just looks... I don't know. It looks too... Like, you know the Power Rangers outfits for the new Power Ranger movie? It looks kind of like that. It's just kind of like... I think someone compared it to an N64, like what you would see in an N64 game. Like, that's what the graphics look like for a round Cyborg. I really wish they would do better on his outfit because it does not look very good. But whenever the Flash moves, they show him go into the Speed Force, show him move very fast. No matter how far he moves or how fast he moves, it looks like there's always an outburst of electricity around him. That makes sense because his emblem is a lightning bolt, but at the same time, that just kind of puts a lot of stuff on screen. It has like that crash of thunder every time he moves, and like that sound of lightning. So you're just kind of like, whoa, hold up. But every time he moves, it's there. And I was thinking, like, how is that going to affect Cyborg? How are the Flash and Cyborg ever going to fight next to each other? Because you'd think Cyborg's biggest weakness would be like getting short-circuited. And if the Flash is moving around and every time there's lightning, if Cyborg gets hit by that, he's going to be out for the count. So, who knows? I don't know. I think the Flash looks good. I think Batman looks good. I think Wonderwoman looks good. And Aquaman looks really good. The biggest complaint I have is the way that Cyborg looks. Obviously, they haven't shown any Superman and not shown necessarily who the villain was. But that's really what I got from the trailer. I didn't really break it down or anything. I don't know a lot about DC heroes in general. I know much more about Marvel. So the Justice League trailer looked good as a whole. Wonder Woman trailer looked good as a whole. The Doctor Strange trailer looked good. Again, it was a trailer too, so I've already seen some of that stuff before. I'm super excited for the Guardians. Super excited for the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 trailer and for the Homecoming trailer to be public. Very exciting. I can't wait for the new Netflix Marvel shows, Luke Cage and Iron Fist. And I didn't even realize Defenders was coming so soon, but Defenders as well. So that's really all I have for us today. As per usual, this will be uploaded to SoundCloud and iTunes and YouTube. Thanks for listening. If you want to get in contact with us, you can tweet at us at UP Gamers Podcast. You can email us at underpaidgamerspodcast@gmail.com. Leave comments on YouTube. Leave comments on SoundCloud. Leave us a rating on iTunes. That really helps us out. If you want, you can go to underpaidgamers.com and you can see our articles and our most recent episodes, as well as our Twitter feed and everything else. That's kind of the home base for the Underpaid Gamers. Thanks for listening, and I'll be with you guys again next week. See ya!